We know what the problem is. We as adults must figure out an answer.
Our young people have so much knowledge and we need to hear them. We need to listen to what they're thinking. What is it that they need from us? How could we support them or just be present with them?
I know that we must give them a platform.
Yeah.
Because talking to yourself doesn't bring the issue to life.
Yeah.
You must bring it to life and to the light. Hi, welcome to the Power of Family. My name is Terry Willis, and I am the host. And let me introduce to you my co-host, Dr. Sonia Toledo.
Hey!
Hey!
Oh my God, I'm so glad that we're finally get to do this project, The Power of Family. When you told me, let's do a podcast on the power of family, I was sold right away. I want to know why. Why did you think about this idea? What came up for you in your life that you felt that this is something that needed to happen right now?
Well, without being too long-winded, I would say that how I got here, how I got here is that I was having a conversation with my granddaughter who had come to visit me in Virginia. And I had shared with her or asked her about the gossip in which I was hearing that some of the other grandchildren were doing out there on social media. And the messaging was that they were saying that their dad's side of the family, what they aren't doing. And it was just, to me, a bunch of bad mouth chatter.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that that bad mouth chatter, it comes from something deeper within.
Yeah, yeah.
And that deeper within is what something in me said, you must dig further to find out what's going on here. What's going on? And yet I realized that as a grandparent, and I'm working now with a generational gap,
Mm-hmm.
I recognize what it is because I was once a kid too. And I remember those older people. I'm one of those now.
Yeah.
So I said to myself, I'm not the only person who's going through this. And first, I must try and figure out what's going on, and then how can I help myself while at the same time helping others in the community? Because
Yeah.
we all know that there's a generational change taking place amongst us.
It's almost like if we're speaking different languages.
Yes.
But our perspectives are different. The way our young people or even our children, because I have two children, I have two sons. They're in their 30s, but still the gap, we're like missing each other and how we're communicating. So I am so happy that you brought me as a co-host to this movement, because I've always felt that family is the heart of anyone's life. And if you think about it, that's where we create our pain and that's where we want to create our joy, right? So this is an opportunity for us to really have some real, honest, authentic conversations about how do we reignite, rejuvenate the family unit? How do we make sure that the power of family actually does exist? How could we begin a movement where people are more intentional about how to create their family with foundation, with value, with purpose, with intention?
And the answer to that, to me, of course, there is no one answer, because if it was, this matter here would have been resolved, or at least others would have tried to tackle it. But in my research, in trying to see what others were doing along this line of this generational gap, I didn't find anything concrete. What I saw was there may be some talk here and there about someone doing a interview or a segment on something, but there is nothing that gives life to this continuing issue of generational divide.
Yes.
But
Yes.
I started this so that we could step up to the plate, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
It's our time. It's
Yeah.
our turn. We know what the problem is. We as adults must figure out an answer, just like we do everything else in society.
But I want to kind of, I think together we're going to figure it out because
Exactly.
our young people have so much knowledge and we need to hear them. We need to listen to what they're thinking and what is it that they need from us so they could continue to be their best potential. How could we support them or just be present with them?
Well, from my perspective, because again, I've been doing my research here, and you as a doctor in education, you've worked along these lines as well. I know that we must give them a platform
Yeah.
because talking to yourself doesn't bring the issue to life.
Yeah.
You must bring it to life and to the light
Hmm.
so that where you are having troubles and issues trying to communicate adult to youngster, youngster to adult, there are people out here who can help bridge that gap. People such as sociologists, therapists,
Hmm.
clergy,
Yes.
even Grandma down
Young
a block,
people
Grandpa
themselves.
down
Yes.
a see, it doesn't take a whole lot here.
Right.
All of the tools that we need are there.
Hmm.
It's just so many I found just they become disenchanted.
Yeah.
Well, we have to disenchant that disenchantment. It's nothing different than any other societal issue
Hmm.
to tackle.
Yeah.
It's just that someone has to lead the charge. In every answer, someone is leading a charge somewhere,
Yeah.
and that responsibility is now on us.
This is awesome. So you're pretty much saying that we're going to continue to have this conversation on a regular basis through this podcast and bring all kinds of guests from young people themselves, your own grandchildren. I can't wait to hear, their perspective of their relationship with you. So we also have psychiatrists and youth development specialists and faith spiritual leaders. Let's have a conversation that really speaks to how do we strengthen the family unit. And I think this is very powerful. I give you a lot of props, Terry, for bringing this together. I think it's something that people want to talk about but haven't had a forum or an opportunity to actually be in a space that is safe to have this conversation.
And I can give you a case in point in that. And that case in point is this. As I was doing my research, trying to figure out what am I doing here, because I'm not a social media expert, far from it. I had to figure, yeah, I had to figure out, but I know enough about business. But I had to figure out how do I reach the masses?
Yeah.
How do I reach the masses? And in the process of me talking to individuals, especially to adults,
Yes.
those who have children, those who have teenage children, at least, because that's where the gap begins to, you know, show. I heard something that is a clarion call. And that call is that most everyone I talk to tells me in quiet about the issues they're having with their own families. And hearing those personal conversations, I knew that I had tapped into something.
Yeah. Yeah. Everybody that I speak to always, when I say the power of family, they're like, oh, interesting. So it's definitely it's going to be a buzz, but we want it to be a very authentic, real talk opportunity to really discuss how could we continue to move forward and learn from our mistakes, grow together, because part of it is, I think about myself. I feel that I am still growing from my family history, right? So I have some traumas that I'm working through. Now my mom has passed. I have my siblings that are still with me, but I don't think that we have ever come together to talk about some of the things that are important to us. I think it's different. We all have different perspective of how we were brought up. I'm a twin, and my twin sister and I, we always have conversations with each other, and we always go back to history. Like, remember when? And we start like dissecting things. So I feel grateful that I have my twin sister, Elizabeth, to be able to talk this through, because I still have stuff that I'm working out in my head about what happened in my past. Did I have an opportunity to reflect with my mom? A little bit, but I don't think as deep as I wanted to.
But yet, you tell me about your siblings,
Hmm.
but you also mentioned that you have sons.
Yes.
So where do they fit into this generational gap?
Well, I have to say my sons are in their 30s, right? And
Okay.
one is married, one has a little girl. He's not married, but they're living their own lives, but there's still a gap in communication and in understanding with each other. I thought I did a good job coming from a youth development background. I always wanted to like have conversations with my kids and have an open forum, but somewhere in between there was a miss in translation, and especially my oldest son and me, we have a clash. There's some things that trigger us so hard that we can't be in conversation without stuff getting heated. Is that something that I want to work on? Yes, I do. So I am taking responsibility to work on that, regardless of what his age is. He's grown, but still there's something for me to work on with that. My youngest son, we tend to be okay with getting intimate and vulnerable with each other about how we feel and things that's happened in the past. So I think we've done a lot of healing together, but we're willing to do that. It's not the same energy that I have with my older son. So I'm not putting it on him, I'm putting it on me. I'm saying, okay, there's something that I need to work on.
As the co-host of this show, then you too are going to be a living example
Yes.
of what we are trying to bring to the fore.
Yeah.
Because without that conversation, there will be no progress.
Yeah.
None at all.
And as much as I feel that I did the best that I could with my sons, with the best equipment and knowledge and, finances that I had, right, as a single mom, bringing them up in Harlem, which I hear that you're a Harlem kid now. um, I tried my best, but my best probably wasn't what my kids needed. And I'm not saying that I was a bad mom. I'm just saying that sometimes as hard as we work to support our children, there's a gap. There's a gap that we don't know about until they tell us about it. And I haven't been able to understand what that gap is with my oldest son and me, but I see it now that he's older because he has expressed it. But we haven't been able to get deeper on what is that? What is it that's missing in our connection?
But using that same situation, can you just imagine the masses of people out here right now
Yeah.
who are experiencing that divide in their
Yes.
family? But your sons sound like they turned out to be okay.
You're right. Yes, they are. They are
I
okay.
understand. Look, growing up in any urban area, I understand because I grew up in an urban area. I grew up in Detroit, so I know.
Mhm.
I know all of the ill-gotten things that lurk around the corner. All you
Mhm.
have to do is to turn the corner. You're going to find something that you just didn't want to run into. I got that part, but if you weren't there, even though you said that's still that devoid there, but if you weren't there being the mom and dad that you were singularly, can you would have think of what other mischief they could have gotten into?
Oh, I take a lot of pride in being the mom that I did because you're right. My boys did turn out really good. I mean, I first of all, Javon is the greatest husband. I see him taking care of his wife and caring for her and supporting her as much as she does to him. And I see that bonding that they have with each other. That although he didn't experience it with me because I was a single mom, I didn't have a spouse while they were bringing up. I see that he has turned into an amazing man for his wife. So there are so many things. The same thing with my son as a father. His heart is it's so big when it comes down to his daughter. It's all about his daughter. So I'm not saying that I had faults in my parenting. What I am saying is that there were some gaps. There were some missing pieces that I wasn't able to fill for my son, both of them, I would say, that we haven't been able to get to the source of it yet.
That experience, though, Dr. Toledo, is what we need as we now collectively create and establish this platform to reach out and bring that to the fore from other family members. Because you've got to be willing to, at first, to at least talk about it. If you're not going to talk about it, you will never know.
So
And then we have to be able to create and establish tools with which we can give to one another to help one another try and mend the bridges, tear apart that generational gap.
I am so excited to have this start being a conversation about family and be willing to get to the source of some of our stuff, right? So we could heal together. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And that's where I'm at here too. And that's why I called you to ask you if you would be a part of this with me.
Yes,
And fortunately, you said yes.
I did.
And now look where we're at. And this is just the humble beginnings of it.
Yes.
But I know it's going places. But how are we going to reach them is the question.
Well, first of all, subscribe to our podcast. Today is our entry conversation of why we started this program in the first place. Leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and make sure that you press that bell button so you know every time that we have a new release. We're planning to bring different guest speakers, your grandchildren, maybe my sons, I got to invite them, or family members of my sister or other grandmoms, you mentioned it, grandpas, young people. We want to hear from everyone around this concept of bringing more connections to our family. So with that, I ask you to leave a comment below and tell us what you would like to, what topics, what issues, what situations you want us to bring to the table to talk about when it comes down to the power of family.
As an adult, I feel that personally that I could reach an older person more so than I can a younger person. So I particularly am interested in figuring out how to reach the young folks to come on here and talk about this.
Yeah.
And when I say young folks, the question begins, where does that generational gap begin? At what age? Because we know that a person at 14 to 15 years old, we know that that's where we say the issues start. In fact, it goes down to some of them 13.
Yeah.
Okay, that's where the gap begins. So how do we reach that person who's in late junior high school and high school and ask them to come on here and share their situation so that we can help bridge their gaps?
Oh, I'm so excited. Look, I have a lot of connections. So, being in youth development for over 30 years, there's definitely an opportunity to find young people to be willing to come and have a conversation. And I always see kids as brilliant from the beginning. I see their brilliance, I see their potential. So, I don't have a problem bringing young people as early as middle schoolers to the young adults that are out there still, trying to make sense of the relationship with their parents.
Because you just hit something there. You said the younger adults who are trying to make sense of this.
Oh.
If we as adults don't get to them, who have the experience, not wanting to tell them what to do, but just want to enlighten them of some of the choices that are out here for them and what they may lead to, then the environment is going to answer that question for them. And as we know, the environment can be brutal when it comes to giving you answers that are not in your best interest.
Yes. Yes.
And so, again, trying to reach those individuals at whatever age is a plus. Is a plus for us.
Yeah.
Because if we don't, we know there's something else waiting on them out here that will not be pretty. But they don't see it like that, but we do.
If you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that we want you to stay part of our movement. Don't forget to like, share, leave a comment about what are the insights that you're getting out of this discussion. What kind of topics do you want us to bring to the table, or experts that you know that are out there that we could bring to the table to have a conversation? And please make sure that you leave us some insight on what do you think about the power of family and how could we make a stronger connection. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
I want to thank you for joining us on this first episode of The Power of Family. And I just hope that you come back for more and be a part of it and help us help ourselves. Our community needs this. And that said, until the next time, thank you.
Thank you.